President Obama now has action to match his words on Ferguson. The initial details of a $263 million spending package to be spent on police reforms throughout the country has now been leaked. We have some of the details on what that will entail and what it will fund. The three-year, $263 million spending package would increase police use of body-worn cameras, expand training for law enforcement, and add more resources for police department reform. The package includes $75 million specifically for the small lapel-mounted cameras to record police officers on the job. In addition, the White House also launched a task force led by Philadelphia Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey and former Assistant Attorney General Lori Robinson to learn, I think that's a misquote, to learn how to build trust with local communities. And then specifically for those body cameras, we have a bit more of a breakdown of what it will actually purchase. The White House estimated that the three-year, $75 million investment could purchase as many as 50,000 body cameras, although you do have to bear in mind that the most recent estimates have put the number of sworn law enforcement personnel with arrest powers at 765,000. And we believe that about 1 in 4 police departments around the country, at least in some way, use body cameras on some of their personnel.
Right, so some of those 765,000
already do,
right? So this is what would give 50,000 more, but it starts it and it changes the nature of the conversation. It makes it seem right away like, no, you have to have body cameras and you have to go about getting them.
Yeah, and this is like a fund matching program that they obviously can't just buy them for the local police departments and force them to use them, but they are saying that if you spend money on these, we will match it to make it a much easier burden to bear.
And then if it continues to work, it's the kind of thing that a reasonable Congress would then pass and increase and give them another 263, so that will never happen.
Not reasonable.
So, I mean, it makes a great deal of sense. Obviously, some jurisdictions can tax for it and spend for it and get it. You know, police departments can prioritize it. You know, it's all about priorities. Like, we're never going to say we can't bomb this ISIS camp in Syria because we ran out of bomb money.
Just don't have the money. We
don't run out of bomb money. We can have money to do this. If we wanted to make sure that every police department, we just said, look, you want to buy body cameras for your police department in Evanston, Illinois, and Princeton, New Jersey, and Dallas, Texas, and Fort Smith, Arkansas, we'll pay for it. Yeah, we'll match the funds. You just buy. You have 628 police officers. Buy 700 cameras. We'll pay you.
Yeah.
So we could do that. But of course, I'm not even sure we need to because the police departments should do that because they'll buy tanks, but they basically get those for free.
Get those
I mean, that's what's amazing is that we're giving them tanks, but we won't give them a body camera that might prevent some Americans from dying.
A camera could be abused.
You know, I mean, first of all, you get the body cam. I'm sure it's already happened. I'm probably forgetting stories where it already happened, where there's some police involved shooting and they had a body camera, but it doesn't work.
Today, my elbow was in the way.
Today it didn't work.
And the audio recorder on Darren Wilson's car apparently wasn't working.
But I don't share the universal outrage about police that some people do here. I share the outrage on the individual cases here, and but that said, I continue to be stunned. You know, I am indirectly acquainted with some police officers, and I am stunned by the way that guys who I know to be reasonable and dedicated to their jobs. They don't get in. They don't put the as Jimmy Dore says. They don't put on the. Most of these guys are detectives, but they don't put on the gun and the badge every day and think I'm going to go kick some ass and I can't wait to use my power. They think, I hope I'm going to catch a murderer today.
Yeah.
I'm going to solve a crime. And mostly they just think, I hope I get home safely and I want to do my job the way 98% of people go through their day. Guys like Darren Wilson, who at the worst is an aggressive murderer, and I think at the best is an incompetent police officer who accidentally killed someone, who couldn't handle a situation, was improperly trained, should never have been on the police force, is a bit of a buffoon, and we gave him a gun and he killed somebody. Maybe I don't know whether that means he should be indicted for murder or not, if that's the scenario. I think it's somewhere in between. None of them are good. A competent cop doesn't do that. I do not understand why some of these people who I know to be reasonable in my head in some way don't think guys like Darren Wilson make my job 50 times harder, because this story gets universal attention and everybody I'm going to encounter in what is an unquestionably stressful job. Will Leith wrote today that, like, whenever you encounter a cop, right? Like if you had an encounter with a police officer today and, let's get crazy, let's presume you had a girlfriend. and you then went home at night and told her about it, right? And told her about your day, you would tell her about the encounter with a police officer, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's noteworthy.
It would be the most noteworthy thing in your day, in all likelihood. Well, it's not noteworthy when a cop encounters a civilian. That's all they do, right?
Exactly.
So, and usually
There's an
it's and frequently it's incredibly stressful. And frequently, those people who you encounter want to hurt you. Some, not all, not even most, but some, and you don't know where they are. Yeah. So you're on guard against everybody. You come into a house and you're like, it could be well that 8 people are like, oh, thank God you're here. You're still thinking, what if somebody here wants to hurt me, right? So I get it that it's a stressful job. Guys like Darren Wilson make that stressful job almost impossible for you to do, and I do not understand why there are police officers around the country who go and stand up and go, I love my brothers and I'll stand with my brothers. This guy made a gigantic mistake and he's an embarrassment to police officers. Yeah. But they don't do it.
I think that they need to do this. I think that, as you've pointed out, this is good for the people that interact with the police. It's also good for the police, because if magically everything happened the way Darren Wilson says it happened, I would like to see that footage. That would have totally cleared him in our conscience. So I think that it's a good thing for them. It's not a universal solution to every problem, and in fact, there are some negatives to having the cameras, as has been pointed out, for people who need to talk to the police about like domestic violence or rape or something like that. They might not feel comfortable talking to a cop if he has to have the camera on, and if they have the cameras, you can't give them discretion to turn them off. So that could actually have negative repercussions, but I think that this is a good step in the right direction.
Well, by the way, I would think if you're dealing with a domestic violence case and someone's going to talk to you about domestic violence, that would be one of the times you could turn it off.
Yeah, but if you open up that they have any discretion, then it could be abused. I think that that's the fear.
Yeah, it could be abused, but that said, I don't know why we have to pretend that as soon as we have to make a difficult rule that we're the dumbest fucking people in the world. Like, we're the most evolved species there is. Sometimes we have to make tough decisions. Like, I don't know why. I hear you.
We have dash cams. They mysteriously don't work most of the time, it seems like.
Right, yeah, or the cams and the, looking at the cells, when somehow those don't work on the day the guy got beat to death.
Yeah, there's something about being beaten to death by police that causes local electronics to fluctuate in some way.
I don't know why you couldn't have a rule that said, hey, look, there's discretion when people need to talk about domestic violence.
Yeah, and I would be okay with that.